Welcome to Something More to Podcast, where we move through topics wherever the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Adam Culbertson.
And I'm Richard Collins.
Don't really have a topic for this week. I mean, we could get a topic, but this topic we wanted to talk about us in a way, and also our listeners as well, because we have hit 500 downloads now. I mean, I know it's not like this huge milestone or anything like that. But I think you put it best. It's still cool.
Oh yeah, it's still really cool, and I think, especially going into it with the level of expectation that we did, like it's actually kind of amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we had our expectations. While we didn't like have our expectations high, we have still like put like 100% into it. So it's not like it's just like, oh, we're just kind of half-assing it or anything like that. We put a lot of effort into it, but it most of it's been to learn to get used to talking on the microphone, talking for a podcast.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's been invaluable experience at that. Like both for dealing with a mic, talking into a mic, talking to an audience. And even for like the editing piece of it.
Oh yeah. I've come a long way. Like if you go back and listen to, cause I've done all the editing.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and listen to the first episode, I mean, originally it was terrible. I went back and ended up cleaning it up around episode 5, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It might've been shortly after that. I'm not sure, but like I was using Audacity. It was pretty, like we thought it sounded amazing at the time.
And you know, compared to what we had, yeah, it did sound amazing.
Yeah, because we didn't have anything.
Exactly. I mean, at best, like you hear yourself recorded with like a phone or something, and that's all you really have to go by.
Yeah, for real. But since we had I learned how to edit better in Audacity, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to edit better in it, got a better sound, and then was like, you know what? We need something better. And ended up picking up Reaper for free, tried out the trial and everything, and just instantly fell in love with Reaper.
Oh yeah, it's amazing software.
It cut my editing time in like, it cut it way down. Where I was spending, like when we had 1.5 hour episodes, I was spending 3 to 4 hours editing.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, now we're down to 30-minute episodes and it takes me 45 minutes tops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it takes care of a lot of the work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the effects are a lifesaver, for real.
Like, take some time to set it up, and then it makes everything easier from then on.
Yeah. But, I mean, when we started this podcast, our original intention for a podcast wasn't even this. I think it was January this year. This is 2019.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this in the future.
Also, send us back some lottery numbers.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, please. I don't know. We had just started a new campaign in D&D, and in December, I think, last year, and we were really getting into it already. And I was DMing for the very first time ever after not playing for years, and even then, like before we played, like 5 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I hadn't played for at least 5 more years, and my time playing had been broken up by a lot, whether being in the Army or whatever.
Right.
And I got to listening to podcasts, and I started listening to the Adventure Zone, actually, and I was like, oh man, this sounds so much fun just to do it.
Oh yeah.
And record it and everything. And I actually learned a lot about DMing from like Griffin McElroy on the Adventure Zone. And well, I just one day I was just like, early January, I was just like, Richard, like, I want to do a D&D podcast. Like, we're having so much fun with these sessions. Like, our group has like just great. We're clicking really well, and like I'm just loving DMing at this point, and I want to write something and an original campaign and us record it.
Yeah.
But we knew nothing about podcasting.
Absolutely nothing at this point.
We didn't even have equipment, I think, when I first mentioned it. No.
I think you had maybe just gotten the original mixer that we were using.
Yes. I had already brought it, or I had already brought up something to you. I was wanting to do something D&D related, and it being beyond just around the table.
Right.
And I think that was the turning point for the podcast. Was I was just at my wife's mom's house, and we were going through her late father's stuff, and found a mixer, found a microphone, and it was just like, I've been getting into podcasts recently. I know everybody's making a fucking podcast. Like there's millions of podcasts out there. Like, we're not doing anything unique.
So many podcasts.
But I was just like, I think it would just be fun to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, hey, I got this stuff. All you got to do is buy a microphone stand, cable, and little foamy
cover
thing.
doohickey.
Yeah. the filter. And you jumped on it. Like, we started running just test episodes, like just talking and getting used to the equipment. We were like, hey, it's not anything unique or anything, but we're having fun doing it. Let's just do a podcast of this and get some experience and learn stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what started Something More to Podcast.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, it has been fun. I know if nothing else, like it's an excuse for us to set aside time to get together and talk about stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually be productive with the stuff we talk about. 'Cause sometimes we will sit down and just talk for hours. I mean, we've done it in the past.
Oh, yeah. We still do it.
Time has passed in between where like we haven't hung out as much, but this is like ensured that once a week we do sit down and talk, usually, unless there's like a week that we take off.
Right. But even still, it's kind of subject matters that keeps us like in communication.
Yeah. And it's a good just to get things off your mind kind of thing. It's as much as it is fun. I've mentioned it before in previous long ago episodes where it's kind of therapy. Like where I get stuck in my own mind all the time, and this gives me a chance to really just get it out there.
Yeah, kind of talk things out. Like kind of open it up to the world at large rather than just being like all by yourself in your head.
Yeah. I think it's cool. We don't get much interaction from listeners, and we don't really need it.
I mean, it would be cool, but
But we also came into this without any expectations of anybody ever listening.
Right.
What's the other thing? It just came in my head and then it went away.
But yeah, I mean, we really didn't expect anybody to listen. Like, it was just kind of we're just doing this for fun / learning to try and, get used to microphones, editing, and everything else so that we might be able to try and put together a D&D podcast.
Yeah.
And I'd say all in all, it's been a great experience.
Oh yeah. And what I came up with the concept of the campaign that I've been working on this whole time in February.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's evolved so much since then, like so much time and writing and just discussions and character backstory writing and everything is a lot's been put into it since February. It's been 9 months and I'm like, I'm ready to get it out there, but I mean, we got a schedule. Right. Don't really want to put it out there because I mean, the schedule may change, something may go wrong, and there's still months before it right. gets released.
Yeah, and definitely, like I definitely agree with the standpoint that we really do want to have enough of a backlog that, you know, whatever happens, like once we get started, like we don't have to just completely take a hiatus because stuff's going wrong.
Yeah, like we want. Because we want to release episodes on a weekly basis for that. And with like 45 minute episodes. We want to keep it short for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
That means you got to wait, but you don't have to wait 2 weeks for another hour and a half episode or 2 hour episode.
Right. And ideally, you never have to wonder, well, when's the next episode coming out?
Yeah. And we want to just release it every week. Even on holidays and stuff like that, just keep a backlog.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time it's released, we hope to have like 3 months worth of episodes in backlog before the backstories are released. And then by the time the campaign starts, we'll have like another month or two of backlog episodes already edited, ready to go. So, I mean, we want to stay way ahead for times where we can't play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that way, like, we never feel like, oh, well, we absolutely have to do this and I can't do anything else because this is Ironclad. Like, it's nice to have some flexibility. You never know what's going to come up. You never know, you know, when you're just not going to be able to, and we don't want people to have to stress out about it.
Yeah. And I mean, I listen to a lot of actual play podcasts. I mean, we watch a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of TV, TV shows. I mean, we stream everything, but because we don't have cable, I don't have cable.
I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in a long time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I mean, stream everything, but like when you look at shows, when you look at well, movies aren't a good example, but TV shows, for example, they don't release the pilot till they're either done or they're close to done.
I guess it kind of depends on the market a little bit. There are some cases where pilots are basically just a test episode.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Before they ever decide if they're going to greenlight the show or not.
Well, yeah.
But in those cases, you have the pilot, and then you have like a year before they actually come out with the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a season pilot or something like that too, where it gets released, and then the next week you got the second episode, or
right. And sometimes those like test pilots aren't even really available to the public.
Yeah.
So you'll get into the season itself, and like the first episode, there's like a noticeable change in like quality or certain aspects, like from the first episode to the second episode.
Yeah.
Just because there was actually some changes between the like test pilot and the actual show.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to go old school here and go back to Star Trek. 'Cause you have Captain Pike.
Right.
Rather than, Captain,
James Tiberius Kirk.
Yes. Rather than Captain Kirk. And I mean, you do have Spock in it, but Captain Pike is the captain of the Enterprise and the pilot. And then by the time that the show came out, they had Kirk instead.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so that kind of stuff does happen. But ultimately, ideally, you never really want to just kind of release an episode or like release something to just get like hype going and then have a huge dead time, because that can basically kill off any amount of hype that you had, and people are going to lose interest and forget about it before you ever put anything else out.
Yeah. And that's like we're going to use our backstories as our hype month.
Yeah.
For Microphones and Monsters. And then, like, by then, we'll have 2 months of playing 3 hours every week of episodes worth of content.
Which, in theory, we should be able to get 2 or 3 episodes out of a session.
Yeah, in theory, we should be able to get 2 or 3. So, I mean, like, 8 weeks, 2 to 3 episodes per week. Like, we could probably build a pretty big backlog before campaign episode 1 comes out, after our hype month of backstories, plus like all the host talking and everything, introduction to the host, not just the characters. So
right. And having a backlog like that can also kind of allow some flexibility for if we were to have some like listener feedback or something, and if the consensus is like people want longer episodes, we may even be able to have the flexibility to do that.
Yeah, we may. I do like the bite-sized episodes that we're doing now. Like right. I consider the 30 minutes bite-sized compared to what we were doing.
Comparatively, it's absolutely bite-sized.
I feel like just watching the numbers, I don't watch the download numbers a lot or anything like that. I want to say, when we first started, I was watching those numbers like a hawk.
Oh yeah, I mean, because it was kind of one of those things, like hey, are we going to get people like listening at all?
Yeah. But at this point, like, I'll go weeks without even looking. Like, I might look whenever I upload an episode, but other than that, like, I'll go weeks sometimes with it. And I looked at it this morning and I was like, oh shit, we hit 500 downloads. Just so you know, like, we hit 500.
Yeah, which I don't think I'd even looked at it since we were like at about 400.
Yeah, so it's not like we're watching it or was waiting for 500 downloads to even like talk about it or to talk about us or the show or anything like that. I just we just happened to notice it, and while trying to come up with topics this week, we were just like, we got a lot of other stuff going on with Microphones and Monsters right now. That's not related directly to us or anything like that. And our minds are kind of like all over the place at the moment. So we're just like, let's just talk about how this show has impacted us.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a fair topic, to say the least. And, I don't think we talked about ourselves enough. Like,
yeah.
Like that's definitely one thing that we haven't really talked about a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, we might talk about our beliefs and like if we agree with something or like stuff we don't like and everything like that, but we really don't talk about us, like as people, I guess.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
We talk about us as opinions, not people.
Yeah, I mean that's all we are, talking heads, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I want to keep doing this show. I mean, we went into this while not expecting a lot. We also came into this not having a following, not having any kind of fame or anything like that would bring listeners in or anything. But I don't know. I would like to keep it going. If Microphones and Monsters take off, we still have this show going too. That's real world topics and shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't really have any intention of stopping doing this.
And yeah, because like we've discussed it a little bit. Like, well, when Microphones and Monsters starts, am I gonna have time to edit with how much like post production work that we're putting that I'm putting into it with music and
right.
And I'm working with like everybody on their own track now, where before we were using a mixer, we actually got upgraded equipment. We're using an interface now. Just putting a lot into it, and was kind of like, were we gonna have time for it? But I sat down, we recorded the pilot.
Yeah, what is functionally going to be the pilot.
Yes. And we have sent it out to a few people, or I've sent it out to a few people to get some feedback from outside sources that aren't part of the team and everything, to people that I trust and value their opinion and everything. We sat down, we recorded it. This is Richard's backstory for his character. That's a Dreamlands cat.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it or anything, but we actually sat down, recorded it. It's a 34-minute episode with intro, outro, everything done now. And it took me about 6 hours. It took us 32 minutes to record it.
Yeah, I mean, the recording for it actually went really smooth. So
yeah,
we didn't really take a whole lot of time there. Like, I mean, only barely more than what we actually used.
Yeah, like maybe 35 minutes, and I cut out some dead air and a few things here and there that just didn't come across well over the microphone. But or just like stuttering or like repeating a couple things here and there.
Yeah.
Because while the backstories, they're semi-scripted, the campaign will, of course, not be scripted at all, other than like the stuff that I write as the DM.
Right.
But we did it semi-scripted, little bit of narration, and then an encounter with actual like role play going on, which we didn't write. Well, we had a general script, but we didn't write the role play and the interactions and necessarily the full choices and everything.
We basically
still played it.
We basically already had the plot laid out, but
I mean, it's a backstory.
But pretty much everything within the plot was then ad-libbed to some extent.
Yeah, little bit of improv there. I had some things written out for my stuff, but I even added in some NPC stuff that wasn't in there, and I don't know if like it threw you off or anything for some of it, but
no,
I mean, I think it went really well. But yeah, like it took me 6 hours total, and that was trying to figure out I learned how to loop music in Reaper. Like I actually learned some stuff while doing this, and where it took me roughly 6 hours to make a 34-minute episode, like a lot of that time was actually spending learning things I hadn't done before that I'd had in my head this whole time that I wanted to do.
Right.
And I finally made it and did what was in my head. And like, it's actually like a physical, like, well, it's audio, it's digital, like, but it's an actual thing now. And, I think that's awesome. And like that 6 hours, it's not going to take 6 hours for the rest of it. So I know I'm going to have time to be able to edit these episodes because it, like I said before, it takes me 45 minutes to edit an episode now.
Yeah. And I mean, so definitely that amount of time is going to come down considerably. And when it's all said and done, like it would be feasible, especially considering as much time as you used to put into editing weekly for just this. Like it would definitely be feasible to still do both.
Oh yeah. And we don't know when we're going to release it yet. Well, I mean, we do know, but don't know what day of the week or anything like that.
Right.
Has this show like I don't know. I know my answer for this, but has this show like given you motivation or anything like that's made like you feel better? I don't know. Like something like that. Like have you gained motivation from this show?
Yeah, I think in general, like there's definitely a lot about this is kind of things that I kind of like kicked around in my own head, like kind of entertained thoughts of like doing some type of voice acting or some type of something with my voice. Cause I mean, and I forget if we'd actually mentioned it in an episode or if this was just one of our test conversations.
Yeah.
Like forever ago. seems like forever ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 9 months since we started.
Yeah. But ultimately, like, I've been told for a very, very long time that I have a really good voice and that I should do something with it. And so, like, it kind of feels good to be able to utilize that. And, you know, I'm kind of at that point that I'm wanting to try and transition it to actually do more actual voice acting on top of everything. So, you know, it's kind of taken a while to kind of get to a point where I'm actually looking for auditions now. But now I actually have some good resources lined up, and I'm probably going to be trying to do a lot more of that in the near future.
Yeah. Where when I started this, I was already auditioning for roles. We ended up getting the Fixers, and then it kind of, I don't know what's going on with it anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly, I mean, I've tried, but we'll see what happens with that.
We'll see.
I'm not holding my breath.
You shouldn't. You'll pass out.
But yeah, I feel like this show has motivated me, just to maintain productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, we record for 30 minutes, an hour, once a week now.
Yeah.
But with the editing and everything, like I have something to look forward to.
Right.
Being disabled, having schizophrenia, like this is giving me something very productive and healthy to do rather than just sitting around all day smoking weed or drinking and stuff like that, which is what I used to do.
And I totally get that. And I'm pretty sure that I would be in the same boat if I were not able to work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like I can work. I have to work. Like I'm not disabled. Like nobody's going to give me money to not work.
Yeah.
So like ultimately, like it would be nice to be able to, you know, I think for anybody, turn a hobby into something that you actually do for a living. And while I don't expect that at all,
no, I don't
like
either.
it's still really fun to do. Like, and it's kind of nice having a hobby where you produce something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, besides just playing video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, you can play video games all day, every day, and what do you really have to show for it?
Yeah. You level up, you get all the best gear, and then you get bored and you move on to another game, and all that was, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's wasted time a lot of times.
It was still fun.
It was still fun.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, totally.
I still have not regretted any like
no
gaming that I've done, but it's kind of nice having a hobby where, you know, there's something that you produce out of it. Like actually making something.
Like hopefully an entertaining product. I mean, that's our goal, is to be somewhat entertaining. I guess this is more just opinions based, but
well, still, I would like to think that at least somebody out there is entertained by us.
Yeah, I hope you like our voices, but yeah, like you said, with voice, I was always told that, hey, like you should do radio or something like that. I don't know if I actually have a good radio voice or not, but I mean, I've always just been told that. I used to work in a call center a long time ago, and like half the calls I got, they're like, I love your voice.
Yeah. I mean, I've done probably more customer service than I ever should have.
Yeah.
But between like, you know, call center or like Pizza Hut or things like that. And you know, it's like I'd get comments like that all the time. And
yeah.
It's just at a certain point, it's like, you know,
you got to do something with it.
Got to do something with it.
Got to start somewhere, and this is where we're starting.
Absolutely.
And that just that motivation, and I've gotten a lot of motivation from this, and it's driven the progress of of Microphones and Monsters when it eventually comes out. But it's ready to go. Like, I'm ready to play now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if at all possible, I would love to start, but we still have some preparation stuff that we got to do, and
yeah,
we want to
make sure we do it right.
Right, and we want to not really run over like the holidays, because like once we get started, we want to at least be able to regularly go at it and everything for a period of time, and we don't need holidays getting all up in the middle of it and everybody getting distracted while we're trying to actually get everything established.
Yeah, we got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas coming up, Hanukkah, if anybody celebrates that.
Ramadan.
Ramadan. I mean, there's a lot of things coming up. It's just holiday seasons as a whole. I do Thanksgiving and like a little bit of Christmas, but I really don't celebrate any of it really. I just do it for family purposes, and that's a lot of people do stuff just with family.
Yeah,
we don't want to tie up the podcast or the recordings of it, at least with broken time in between it because of the holidays.
Right, and I think, and this goes for I think any kind of tabletop gaming setup, is you don't really want to take breaks early on in a campaign, because that's kind of the time when everybody's kind of forming their characters, forming like how they interact with each other.
Yeah.
Like kind of forming this idea in their head about the world and everything. And so when you have these breaks that early on, like people start losing interest or feeling like they're behind because they don't really have as clear a picture as others maybe have, and like people get disinterested or leave or just stick around and just don't do much.
Yeah.
And I think that can be one of the most damaging things for a campaign. Like once everybody's established, everybody has a good solid idea in their head of how everything is, like you can take a break and pick back up and it's no problem.
Yeah.
But it's just those early weeks, like I'd say especially the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it just gets that much more difficult if you don't have that regularity.
Yeah, and that's our goal with starting in first week in January, starting to play. And then January, February, no breaks.
Right.
And get that time in, because everybody will have their holiday time before that. Nobody wants to travel after doing all the holiday stuff. Nobody does.
No, like I'm going to be using my last paid time off like here in the near future. But like first of the year when all that refreshes, like I'm saving that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed us just talking about ourselves and this show and just what we got going on in the future, what we've done in the past, and hope that you, if you've been a listener this whole time, I know we've been averaging about 5-6 downloads a week, which on new episodes.
You know, considering that I actually haven't downloaded one in a pretty good while now.
Yeah, I downloaded one a few weeks ago, just whenever like we got an interface and I wanted to test out the quality after uploading it.
But yeah, so I mean, there's somebody out there listening.
Yeah, there's at least like a few. Somebody might be downloading it more than once. I don't know. But
maybe we got a couple of people that listen and one person that really likes it.
Yeah, they got to listen to it on every app. Or we got one person listening to it on every app, and our one listener out there. One person is just like
die hard.
Thank you for listening to us.
For you, our diehard fan.
But yeah, I hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and hope you join us next time when we have something more to podcast.